Are you like? Are you gonna? Is this? Are you gonna? Make this a workout?
No, I just took my morning dump and now I'm outside here on this lovely outside couch at the gym here.
It's a couch. Okay, I thought it was like you
Well,
doing a
Yeah.
wall squat. Like, all right, you know what?
No,
I'm
no,
gonna
no.
show
You know
you
what?
this
No,
done.
there's this it's like an outside gym.
Oh, cool.
Like,
That's cool.
Hey, where are you
Wow, that's
located? It looks like a nice
Yeah,
day.
where are you?
it's called Fusion Gyms in Pennsylvania. They have like three
awesome.
locations. So and they have like a whole outside turf area with like machines and the whole dumbbell section out there with like anti-rust equipment, and then they have like little couchers with like TV. So sometimes I literally just come out here and just like woosah and chill by myself, you know?
Well,
Nice,
speaking
man.
of dumps, right? Speaking of dumps, I just went
Yes.
on TikTok the other day because I get all of my information from TikTok.
Yeah, everybody.
And for the last week, every time I go to the gym, I have to take a dump now. And I had a 7-year stretch where I didn't have to, and I used to make fun. Can't people go home and go to the bathroom? And I read about it, and it's actually it happens to women who go shopping at Home Goods. The excitement of shopping stirs up the gastric. I don't know what's going on, but all I know
So
is
so you're saying like
I,
the excitement women have at Home Goods, like men have at the gym then? Yeah.
and I'm not
Exactly.
just saying women, it could be men too. Men might have a home good excitement. Who
Yeah.
knows? But all I know is I now have baby wipes in my bag. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, that's a
I'm not an
necessity, bro. I
animal.
literally everywhere I go, I have baby wipes. I actually, no joke, I
Yep.
swear to Christ, my girlfriend recommended baby wipes probably like 3 months ago, and I was like, I don't know, it's kind of weird. It's like wet. It's like a weird. And then once I went to
Yeah.
baby wipes, bro, toilet paper is like the devil
Yeah.
now. I'm like,
Well,
ew,
you
toilet
use
paper,
toilet
that's
paper.
nasty.
Well, toilet paper first, and then you finish with the wipe. I mean, that's
I,
the
I
And
I'll
then you
just
finish
wipe.
with the what? No,
actually.
no, no.
Well, if you take
No, you use
Fiberlize,
the.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What do you? Obviously, we don't have a problem shitting. What do you mean fiberlize?
Well, because I tell you something really cool about that stuff. You don't.
Wait, I was gonna-
You almost need no wipe after it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
You
like
know what you
I don't
need?
know what happens. It coats it. I don't, it's the most amazing thing. It's like you shit in the jungle. Okay, it's like you don't
Yeah.
need the wipe. It's amazing. But
Yeah, I need a beach towel to wipe my hamstrings off. That's what I need. If I take fiberlize.
the thing with the wipes, though, if you read the package, it says
Yeah.
"Do not flush."
Right.
And I'm wondering,
Yeah.
there's a kind that you can flush. If you ever used
Yeah.
it, you'll never use them again. They're terrible. They fall apart in your
Just
hand.
makes your ass wet. That's all it does. But
terrible. So you got to use the ones you can't flush and flush them anyway. So we're probably going to destroy the sewer systems. But
Yeah.
if you go to Five
fantastic.
Below, that
Yeah.
store Five Below, they got sprays in the back. They're like $5. And after you use the baby wipe, the toilet paper, you spray your ass with bleach.
Wait, wait, hold on. You spray your pink starfish after you poop?
have you?
I'm
Yeah.
saying you can. I'm not saying I did it. I'm saying I saw it on
No,
TikTok.
this sounds like a personal experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
I would think, honestly. No, I
How
don't spray.
about-
I can't. You don't. You're not. Anybody knows you're not supposed to spray your ass with anything alcohol based because you'll burn your ass out.
Mhm.
How
You know
about
that.
How about
Everybody.
the spray that you're supposed to spray in the toilet on the water before
That's
you take the
poopery.
dump?
Oh, poop.
That's-
Yeah.
That's
And
poopery.
what happens is the poop goes through the barrier, and then the stench can't come out. So the only thing they got to worry about is how do you control the stench between the poop hitting the water and it leaving your asshole? Because there's a space there that would,
Well,
cause,
use the
cause
beach spray.
problems.
You have a
Yeah,
shitty
there you
beach
go.
ass. Smell like a
What a
whale.
shitty conversation to start off with.
No, I think it's.
Hey,
I think
welcome
it's
to the
fascinating.
show.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating. Listen,
Awesome.
these are good tips. Don't spray your ass with alcohol. Remember that. Fiberlize if you want to use a beach towel to wipe off your hamstrings. Listen, I'm learning a lot. And I've also learned that right around 10 o'clock is right when Danny gets done taking his morning dump and he's ready to rock for the day. So there we go. Look, we're already jumping off to a good
We
start.
have learned a lot here this morning. Yeah.
Did you train? Did you train yet?
No, I can't.
Oh.
If I have to, I'll train this early. But like just for to have I said beneficial training, I need to have meals in me. So I usually train around like 4 p.m.
See, that's like the opposite from what I feel like most people say, right? Most people, like Frank, I know you like to train early, right? Because you're up you don't even sleep. But I'm with you, man. I don't like to sleep.
it's
I like to
habit.
train till later.
Yeah, that's only because when I started training, I started training with this guy. He's a master nationals champion, Tony Pandolfo. He wanted to train at 4 a.m. every morning. So when I went to
Jesus.
college, I jump on. I went to college, would go to the gym, then I would jump on the moving truck for 12 hours and work on the moving truck. And God forbid I was 2 minutes late, he wouldn't talk to me if I was there at 4:02. So I would throw something at me. That's what happens.
Oh
So
man.
I'm always in the habit of training. What do you do about the crowd, man? Like at the gym, do you train at a private gym or you just train at
No,
like a
and well, that's one thing that's annoying. Like
yeah?
this gym is like I love this gym. I know the owner. I'm very cool with him. The machines are literally probably like a 4 out of 10 quality, and it's also like this influencer gym. And I hate saying that because like technically people are like, oh, you're an influencer. Like yeah, but I train like a bodybuilder. I train. My content doesn't come before my training. My training comes before my content. And when I
I
come
like
here,
that.
sometimes it's like it gets mobbed, especially in the season when college kids are home, and it's like groups of four on Snapchat on a bench, and I'm just like fuck, like it's that kind of that does irritate me and stuff because I'm there to train. It's my safe place. It's
Yeah.
my favorite time of the day. And sometimes like for that reason, like I will come to the outside portion where no one really goes. It's kind of getting chillier, but I'll kind of avoid the crowded areas, or I'll kind of know during the week, like, all right, Mondays and Thursdays, are the most packed days usually, depending on chest and whatever. But and then some days like I know like it's just gonna be mob because there's like an event or something. I'll go to another gym where it's just kind of low key and I could just get my work done. But also you just kind of get used to like that mobbed environment. I just literally put my headphones on and I train. I people get upset like, oh, there's so many people here. I'm like, you know what, there is, but I'm just like, I tell people like, hey, how many sets you got left? Oh, you got four. All right, cool. I'm gonna work in then. Like, it's not like I am
Oh,
not saying it's
nice.
not like a question, but I'm just
Yeah.
like, all right, cool. If you got that, we're at the gym. Let's. I'm gonna work in with you then. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
sit here and watch you sit for 4 minutes on Snapchat in between a set and then wait. I'm gonna work in. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah. I,
yeah,
look, I know that for all of us, especially for a lot of us, the mental health aspect of training is extremely important. Like
Mhm.
if I didn't train, I'd probably, go nuts,
Yep.
honestly. Because it's not just the physical now, it's the mental. And I know that you're all about that, Danny. Like, how do you stay mentally focused when you're in one of these gyms, everyone's around you, and like I've always had to deviate from my workout, like, oh my God, these guys are on the cables. I gotta wait. I'll do pullover. Like, always make the switch and this and that. That's why I started training real early again, because the people that do train there are people who are probably cops, firemen. They got to go to work. They're not
Yeah.
there for like. So how do you like looking around like gyms like that and seeing what's going on? How does that affect you mentally though? Because I know that you need the outlet too of
yeah.
working out for to basically stay sane.
So, I like I said, for me, I just kind of have adjusted to what fitness has become in these mainstream gyms. So I go in there knowing like, hey, I'm walking into this environment, and I have to be ready for like that, waiting for this or that. But again, getting friendly with the people around here, like people just think the people don't know me, just either don't know me because I haven't talked to them, or they know me from social media or something. But they know I'm a friendly dude, so I'll walk up like, hey, let me work in. And sometimes is it annoying like having to wait when it's like five people? Yes, but I'm choosing to come here. You know what I mean? I could easily drive another 20 minutes to go to the. I'm choosing to come here. This is literally 7 minutes
Yeah,
from my house. So if I'm doing shit all day and this is convenient, I'm gonna come here. It's gonna be packed. I chose to come here, so I have to deal with this gym being packed. But that doesn't stop me from getting my shit done. So if I'm gonna wait and make my workout like maybe longer because I'm waiting, fuck it. Like I'm getting it done. I've never made that an excuse to not get it done. Has it been annoying at times? Absolutely, especially at these sometimes when they have like these events and stuff, and where it's like Daddy's School, like then it's like more of like the everyone coming up and talking, asking about my life journey and this and that. And I will always sit and take the time, but I'll also know, hey guys, like, let me just do a set real quick. We'll talk for a minute. I'll do another set. Like, and that sounds
Yeah.
crazy because it sounds like I'm trying to balance like being a social media person and a bodybuilder, but that's what it is. I tell them like, just give me 1 sec. I'll be like, just give me 1 minute. I'll do a set, talk for a minute. All right, my rest period's up. I'm gonna do another set. And people kind of understand like that's what I'm there for. I'm there to talk to you and help you and give you all the time of day. But at the end of the day, I'm in the gym I'm not in
Yeah.
a gym to be like, oh, what's up? Let's do a flex together. Cool. Like at the end of the workout, all day, sure. But as you see, like, I got my headphones on. I'm like pumped on my mind. I look like I'm gonna kill someone. But as soon as I take my headphones out, hey, how you doing? It goes from like,
Yeah.
Slipknot, fucking roar, to hi, I'm Danny. Nice to meet you. Like Fruity Pebbles. Like, um,
Plus, in the spot you're in, especially when you talk a lot about mental health, like you probably have to be extra careful, right? Because there's always people that want to use an interaction with you to build themselves up or to tear you down, which is
yep.
pretty awful. That you're trying to do your thing, you're trying to present be raw with people and be honest about things, and a lot of them are thinking, well, how can I use him to elevate myself? And that to me would be maddening to navigate.
Dude,
Yeah.
that is I literally talk about that all the time to like not my friend groups, but like people that ask me like what are things that you hate, because there's people that literally come up to me. Like I'll give you a perfect example, right? I've had this happen all the time at these events or just when it's packed. I'll be in the gym and I could tell it's like a group of like 18, 19-year-olds just talking shit, like, oh, trend, gear, blah. Cool,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
I get it. And and sometimes it's kind of entertaining because like I want to hear how outrageous the statements they're making. So I'll have my headphones in and I'll be doing like tricep extensions. I'll be listening a whole conversation. Oh, he's probably on this, that, and he thinks he's that, and you're just like basically telling them their friends my life story, right? And I'm like, okay, cool, right? And I shit you not, I get to the end of my workout, that group comes up to me, hey, Danny Swole, we're huge fans, bro. Can we get a photo with you? And I'm like, yeah, bro, let's do it. And I'll take the photo, and they'll start walking, be like, hey guys, come here real quick. And they're like, what's up, man? I was like, hey, earlier when I was on the triceps, I heard everything you're saying about my dosages, how I treat people, and I literally list everything. They're like, I'm like, listen, I'm not mad at you at all. I'm not here to be your father. I'm not here to discipline you. I'm here to tell you just to be a better person. I was like, at the end of the day, I sat here, listened to all that shit, still took a photo with you and was nice to you, and I'm still being nice to you. But I'm gonna correct you because
Yeah.
someone else that you run into that you do this to is not gonna handle it this way. And it's just to show you like that some people deal with things a lot differently. So, but I was like, how silly do you look coming up to me after doing all that? And the only reason you did all that was, and to take this photo is to say that you took a photo with me for clout. And then
Right.
I explained to them all and all the things they talked about. It was gear, whatever. I talked to them like, hey, if you are actually wondering on a what's it called, a scientific or even general discussion of gear, if you have questions, I'm here to help you. I'm not here to tell you to take anything, but I'm here if you want to ask. I'm open about it. But the thing is people, they ask questions half the time, it's not because they genuinely want to know. They
Yeah.
ask you questions, so how you answer it, they want to pick apart and then go online, be like, oh well, that's what he told me, he did say, he did this or whatever. Like a perfect example, I was just at the Olympia, and a lot of people have their opinions on Kenny KO, but he came up to me and he's like, hey bro, you natty, this and that. I was like, absolutely not. The only thing that's natural right here would be the lighting, but there is no natural lighting, so I'm not natural.
Yeah.
And it wasn't to BS. He started laughing. I was like, listen. He's like, and I was open about what I take. And dude, and I thought like, but people would be like would love it because it's like I'm being open and transparent. Because if you want to know, I'll tell you to help you and educate you, not to tell you to do it, just to be
Right.
like, hey, that guy's not lying. And half the responses I got to was like, oh well, he's lying about his doses. I'm like, bro, you can't win. Like I could
No.
be as transparent and genuine as possible, but
No.
they'll sit and find anything to
Yeah.
like pick it apart. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Everyone on this show's on the juice. It doesn't matter on this
It,
show. Everyone's
it's
on.
it's the young guys. If that's true,
It's
Frankie.
true.
It's the young guys that really perplex me about this whole
Oh my,
idea because they,
Yeah.
they are so different from the young guys in the gym when I first started training. When I first started training, it was you looked up to these big dudes. It was like,
Yep.
teach me, help me. How do I do this? We're talking 50 years ago. So it was, a whole different thing. Now when the gym is packed, it's a fucking nightmare. It's like tripods and halo lights and cameras and, and all of these young dudes are doing two things. They're trying to get famous on
hmm
social media,
Mhm.
and they're trying to disparage any dude that's big by saying, but talking about all the drugs they do. And it's like the drug stigma is like the most interesting thing to them. They could care less about training intensity, training, style, how you do it with intensity. All of this stuff is irrelevant. All they care about is the drugs. And
Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah.
and
Well,
videoing themselves. So how when you're in the middle of all of that, how do you like try to be a nice guy? And because I mean, I have a really hard time being a nice guy anymore with these radical kids in the gym. It's just
sometimes you can't.
Yeah.
Sometimes you
I
just
know.
can't.
A buddy of
Look,
mine
man,
was in
you
Diamond Gym outlawed
you
in
have your
New Jersey.
threshold.
Right.
Yeah.
Diamond Gym outlawed tripods because of this whole thing. And I think outlawing tripods is a bit of a stretch. Maybe you could have a time of day when you only allow them or something like that. But I mean, it drives people to the point where this dude walked straight through the gym and walked over, stomped on about 6 tripods on his way across the gym. He was just so fed up with it. Does it ever
Yeah.
get to you?
So this is how I'll explain this, right? And because at one point before I got more into content creation when I was still in the Air Force, and I didn't really have the time to I didn't have that much time to train, so I didn't have my tripod, this and that. I'm on a tripod right now talking to you guys, right? I have my tripod in the gym, and I tell you how I do it. For me, I have I've adjusted to what fitness is, right? So people to appeal to young kids, to appeal to the fitness society, they want to see how you're training. So how I do it and how I look at it, I was like, listen, you don't have to fixate everything around being recorded. For me, the content people see, the videos and stuff, that's maybe 2 sets out of a 2-hour workout. So the things that's actually recorded and posted is that, right? So that's literally on a professional camera. Now the tripod for me, how that comes in, and this is the reason I do this is because people always ask, how do you train? How do you train? My tripod, I have my old iPhone. I connect it to the Wi-Fi. I go on TikTok live and I just put it in the background somewhere, and I just sit it there. And each workout I do, so people go, I'm not engaging. I just letting it go, and it's not in the way of anyone else. And it's never when it's packed, I don't even bring it out. But some people, again, their whole fixation is that they have to be everything they do has to be put out. Like every set
Mhm.
has to be recorded, right? And the problem is, like you mentioned before, the younger crowd, and again, I'm not shitting on them at all, but the younger crowd, the first question they always ask me, it's not about how I eat. It's not usually not about even sometimes the drugs. It's how do I get famous? How do I get big?
Oh, really?
How do I grow my following? I want to be an influencer. So, and then I asked him, I was like, okay, Charlie or Ryan, so you want to be an influencer. What do you have about you that is influential? Okay. What separates you from 2,000 other 16-year-old, 17-year-olds, whatever, how old you are, people that are trying to do the same thing? Because at the end of the day, if you're trying to blow up on social media, right? What's going to make you blow up? What do you think you have besides a dark sports sweatshirt and young LA sweatpants and Nikes? Like, because everyone else in the gym has that, right? But what's going to
Right.
separate? Do you have something in that you can talk about that's relatable? It's like these people that they instantly want that, oh, followers, they want the likes, because literally, and it's sad to say this, and this is why like it kills me, because I go to the gym because literally it like you guys said, it's saved my life in a lot of ways. It feels like it gives me purpose sometimes. These kids, they don't go to the gym, and I'm not saying everyone, but some of them, they don't go to the gym because they love training. They go to the gym because they get the attention they get from the gym when they post about it. It's why they,
So
and that drives me insane. I'm like, bro, like you literally came in with the mindset of I'm gonna make a video. Did you even give a shit about what your training is? Like, what are you training, chest or legs? Like, I mean, it's infuriating because it's like that is our place, and it is an old school mindset. We're in the gym to train, and but at the end of the day, like what are you doing here? You know, like what's
That
your
makes you a
purpose? Like,
target. That makes
yeah,
you a
and it is,
target.
and it as
It,
soon
Yep.
as soon if anyone said anything to me, that's the biggest thing. Like you said, they're trying to attack you. If say I'm
yeah.
having a bad day, and I've had this, say I'm having a horrible fucking day, then the gym is those are the days where the gym is really my savior. And I'm just like going in, and people keep bugging me and bugging me. I'm like, I've had to like sit there and where like I literally about to explode. I'm just like, shut the fuck up. Like, but I don't say that. And it's very, very fucking hard. Like, how do you do it? I'm like, I take the shut the fuck up. I take my headphones out, I'm like, can you guys please just like leave me
Mm.
alone for like I have to say it because God forbid
right.
you raise your tone, you
Oh
you
yeah.
you say something that could borderline, I don't know, trigger them in some type of way where they need an emotional support room. God, that's what happens. If you, as soon as you do that, then you're labeled as, oh, like, he's roid raging at the gym. Look at him, fucking obvious. Like, but it's just because you're having a bad day, and everyone has those. So when I see someone and then they're like, you could tell they either have some demonic shit going on in their minds, or they're, I don't even bother them. I'm like, yo, train. We'll talk after.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Such a
Yeah.
double standard because you get Karen from, the supermarket who's somebody's too close to her cart and she turns around and explodes on them, but no one's going to say anything to her. But yeah, you're a target because you just hit the nail on the head. How do you get famous? How do I get famous? By making someone like you uncomfortable or triggering you in some way and putting it on their platform. So, I mean, and you're also right about people asking you questions and not caring about the answers. Because I have guys come up to me like, "You don't lift heavier than that," and then I go, "Well, I lifted heavy for 20 years. I've, whatever." And I'm like, "Why am I explaining myself?" Like I stop myself and I'm like, "He doesn't care. He's just trying to
Yeah,
make a
yeah,
point. Like,
yeah.
he's lifting heavier than me." I'm like, and I just go like this. I'm like, "You do you. All right," and
Yeah.
I put it back and I just do my thing.
Because
Guy,
they know
yeah,
everything. They're TikTok science experts. They're like, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? That's not optimal. I was like, bro,
no,
and this isn't me. I come in here. This is where I don't shit on anyone, but I'm like, with all due respect, brother. I was like, look at you and look at me. And I'm not saying this as I'm better than you or
yeah,
bigger than you, but I was like, I
Yeah.
think what I'm doing might be
Yeah.
working. I just think, you know.
yeah. It's
Um,
crazy.
and like I said, I'm open to try those things, but I'm like, if something works for me, I'm not gonna change it, you know.
Right.
And everyone's so quick to, well, that's not this, that's not this. And I tell people like, that's okay. It may work for you, and I might try it out. But at the end of the day, I'm not gonna change my training because Johnny user 1827 on TikTok told me that that's not optimal,
Yeah.
right?
But it is funny though how, you're saying they want to come in, these folks, and immediately get a following without actually thinking of it as you said, what's the message? And I think that they think of it as a job that's going to land them into some celebrity, right? But we've all seen it, even with actual celebrities and not just social media celebrities. That's fleeting. It doesn't last if you don't have an impact or something to say. So even if they do strike, lightning strikes, and they look at the Haktua girl, no, if you look, she hit it. She wrote it out for as long as possible, and now I don't know if you hear much about her, but but that happens more often than you're saying. Well, what do you have to say? What is your message, and how do you want to be? How do you separate yourself from a very, very crowded pack?
Yeah,
Well, look, you had Stuttering John from Howard Stern. He's the one that started that kind of going around and
Yeah.
asking outlandish questions to people. But look, your dog dies, you can't pay your bills, something happens, your wife's sick, whatever it may be, and someone starts with you, and all of a sudden you're like, fuck off. You know what I mean? Now, you don't want to be bothered. And now all
You
of
got
a
a
sudden
reputation.
you're the enemy. He's got you. He's going to put you on his platforms. He's like, wow, look at this guy. He's nuts. He's crazy. He can't control himself. I mean, we just saw the guy get punched or thrown on the ground, right? In that one video, that one, but
Yeah.
like, if this was the 90s and we were in the gym, people used to punch each other in the face routinely or go outside. No one, the respect level was there. If someone was
Right.
benching 405, you get the hell, 500, you get out of the way and you let him do what he's got to do. Now it's like, oh, well, you like you said, user 654 says you need to move your elbows in more to optimize the chest pump. Like, shut up. You know what I'm saying?
well, as soon as the society sees like conflict or any type
Yeah.
of gain, it's oh, let me get my phone out real quick. So, and then you'll
Yep.
see everyone had, I've had at the gym, bro. I had a group where I called them out and everyone around me had their phones out, and I was conscious of that. I was like, this could be used against me, so I made sure everything I was saying was like correct. But it's, as soon as something that goes on, it's like, oh, let me just have this on record, right? So God forbid you slip up and say one thing wrong, right?
Mhm.
Versus, like you said, back in the day, there was none of that shit. You just like settled it outside, like out of,
Mhm.
in a respectful way.
Yeah.
It's nuts. Perfect example was you guys probably saw Kelsey was being followed the other
Yeah.
day for someone called, obviously said something about his brother, and I'm not gonna
Mhm.
get into what his brother and Taylor Swift, whatever you do, they do them, but as that's still just, it's a family. Like if someone says some shit about my brother, regardless of what his views are, and just was egging me on and said some shit, I would break their phone. I would
Yeah.
100% break their phone. And people are like, oh, how could you do? I'm like, are you kidding me? Put yourself in his shoes. If someone's badgering you with their phone and they're literally doing it to get a clip of you getting angry, it's so fucked. It's so like the only
So
purpose of
wrong.
that was to get a rise. It
Yep.
wasn't to even call him anything. It was to get him pissed off to where he can do something, and he did. And if I was people ask me, oh, what would you have done? I would have done the same shit. I probably would have broken it more viciously.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Yeah. Oof. Yeah, I did see that. And I felt the same. I've just, my thing is, I don't see how more people don't snap because, as you said, it's just constant, especially when you go out and there's just people flocking you and flanking you and poking at you and trying to get this. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know if I'm built for that. Just from a personality or mental standpoint. And I know Frank is. I know if somebody pushes, I've seen. I've seen people push Frank enough, and it's like that. He definitely
dangerous.
shuts that shit down, and that's. But I get it, man. I just it's great though that we have people that are you know, letting people know that that's not normal. That you can put it. That you're saying don't do this, or else there is consequences to how you act. Because I feel like these kids don't and I feel like maybe I'm the old man yelling at the clouds, but like the kids don't get it that there are consequences. Because when we were growing up, there wasn't all of this surveillance in terms of recordings and things like that. So things were handled in a much different way. And you knew that if you open your mouth to the wrong person, you're going to get smacked in it, you know? So I don't know if they necessarily know that now. I don't know.
I
no,
think I'm
they
on a
they
delay.
they
Am I
they,
on a
they don't.
delay?
You're a little bit delayed, but now you're
Yeah.
okay.
I was gonna say, believe me, I looked Zach. So, long story short, some guy bumped into a woman in the gym that was helping me work, like, and stand in our way of filming and what have you. So, but he didn't say he was sorry to her, and like he like legitimately went out of his way to bump into her. So I looked where the cameras were, and there were none. So I just had a few a few words for him.
You went from Frank to Frankie.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
To Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean there was no rhyme or reason, and he was like, "Well, you're mad just because I walked through your photo shoot," and I'm like, uh, "No, but I'm glad you were conscious of what you did. Yeah,
Right.
obviously, you know what I mean. Like, so yeah, people are just." I don't know. There should be a law of some sort, but people are just out to get you, And I tell my son this; he's 16. I'm like, don't put anything on social, and be careful of anything you say or do, because they only put the parts that make their argument up and create
Right.
their own narrative. I mean, you could
Exactly.
get shot 10 times, and at the end of the 10th bullet going into you, you're like, you asshole, like, and they'll take that clip and put up, he called him an asshole, and he triggered me,
Mm.
they won't put the 10 gunshots
Yeah, you
before
leave
that.
out the
That's the
10
problem.
gunshots, right?
Yeah.
So, it's
Especially
almost
here.
like social
Go
media
ahead,
has,
John.
I think social media is almost like the supplement industry in the 90s. It's like everybody and their brother wanted to start a supplement company because they saw the top ones making money and they go, oh, I'm going to start a supplement company. And then now we had thousands of supplement companies that no one ever heard of.
Right.
Social media is the same thing today. Everybody, they look at a guy like Danny and they go, I want to have 1 million followers too. And here's what do I do? And it's the quest to get the followers. They really don't care how they get them. It's just
No.
that they got to get them.
Well, Danny's message isn't I'm a bodybuilder.
No.
Hey, look at me. It's not that. Danny, talk about what you're trying to do and influence people from a mental capacity. It's not. He's not like, yeah, I'm growing 25-inch arms today. It's not like that at all. It's more he's actually helping people on his platforms.
I just the best way to describe it as people always ask, like people come up to me. The best way I can describe it is when people come up to me like, "Oh, are you Danny Slow?" I'm like, "No, I'm just Danny. I'm just like you. I have 21-inch
Yeah.
arms. It's the only difference." No, but when I talk to people, I'm like, "Listen, I love the gym. I love bodybuilding. It's a very big part of my life. I use it for a lot of purposes that aren't for competitive bodybuilding at all. I just happen to be so good at lifting that I created this physique. And I want to tell people that the gym and bodybuilding is what helped me find something to where I got really good at, and I got really proud of doing it. Like, wow, I'm good at this. And it gave me confidence. It helped me build up mentally just over time through my 10 years in the military. Everything I did, I kept bodybuilding with me. I just kept doing it, doing it, doing it. And it was my sport. It was my basketball. It was my intramural sport after I got out of work. and it gave me like, not I say purpose, but it gave me a way to connect with people that also love the gym. Now I tell people all the time on my page, I'm like, just take the energy that I put into the gym, whether you're 40 years old, 20 years old, 60, I don't care how old you are, and find something that gives you the spirits and happiness that the gym does for me. You can go bowling, you could do golf or whatever, but put the energy I have and take that into that sport that you do, and let that shit help you be a better person. I was like, because this helps me be a better person. I was like, I don't need you to become a bodybuilder and have huge arms. I can give a fuck. I don't even care if you follow me because you like my physique. I just care that if you follow me, listen to what I'm saying. I was like, I'm going here. I'm choosing to come here. I'm making time out of my day to give myself a place where I can feel better about myself and get better. I was like, you could do the same thing at going to the stable and doing horseback riding. You go and do a quilting class with your friend. I don't give a fuck. But if that's going to give you a sense of happiness, or where you feel self betterment, I'm all for it. And that's what I want people to do. Is like, there's people are so stuck on, oh, my life sucks. This. I'm like, you know what? I get it. I have depression. I have all the shit that everyone else has. Cool. We all do, right? Okay, but how are you going to fix it? So let me give you the tools as a fellow man, because men, they don't like to talk about their feelings. Well, guess what? I'm an emotional fuck, but I take care of it. I get help. I get seen. I do things to help it, i.e., the gym being a big one of them. So if someone out there has those issues too, we can connect on a human level, not biceps, not physique, human to human, Danny, John, whatever. Hey, I have those problems too. All right, let's work on actually fixing those. Or you're not a gym bro? Okay, what do you like to do? Or what have you always wanted to do? Why don't you give it a try? Like, that kind of message is what I try to push out, because men, especially men, and this is not being a sexist thing, but men are ashamed to admit that they have issues and they don't
Right.
address them, and they hold that shit back. And I guess what I was raised in that time too, where it's like, oh, be a man up, don't be a pussy, right? Okay,
Mhm.
I get it. But if you bottle that shit up over time, it just gets worse. So if you find an outlet or a resource or something that helps you, you're gonna be happier, and your friends will notice it. You will notice it, and guess what? You'll overall be better, not just physically but mentally. And that's the biggest thing, is to make yourself healthier on a mental level. And when men hear that shit, they're like, "Oh fuck, bro! Like, I'm more similar to you than I thought." I was like, "You may not be into fitness at all, but I guarantee you we like a lot of the same shit. You would just never known it if we didn't talk about it."
Right.
Yeah, I think what to pile on what you're saying, it's addressing your problems doesn't necessarily mean complaining about them, right? It means trying to find ways to overcome them. And
Mhm.
that's the important thing. So if I'm talking with somebody, or brainstorming with somebody how to figure out a rut, how to get out of a rut, that to me is very healthy and natural. It's not me giving up and throwing my hands up and saying, "Oh, well, the world's unfair. I'm not going to get what's coming to me."
Mhm.
That's bullshit. It's finding a way to pick yourself up and dust yourself off, because yeah, you're right. Look, everyone goes through shit. There's ups and downs, and that's no one's happy all the time. That's where social media can be this really, really big issue for kids, especially because everything looks, you look on there, everyone's so happy and everyone looks so pretty and gorgeous, and oh my God, they don't have any wrinkles in their skin or blemishes on their face. And that's not the reality. I was thinking to myself, man, if I actually put, because Frank was telling me yesterday, he's like, you got to post more things. And he's right. Look, I'm trying to be more active, but I was like, man, if I posted what I do on a day-to-day basis, the mundane things I have to do, whether it's like change my kids or make a bed, like that to me is part of the day. And it's not anything you typically see on social media, but that's the reality of life, is that you're going to run into shit. It's not always fun. And sometimes things just suck, and you have to understand that and keep going and push through it. And no one's going to do it for you.
Well,
One
more
big thing
often
you
than not.
said. Oh, sorry,
But
I'm gonna interrupt.
oh no, I'm saying more often than not, you'll see, like if someone commits suicide, you'll see that they'll post a video the day before, 2 days before, where they're laughing and having a good time on social media, and then all of a sudden they're gone, because they're right, because they don't know who to talk to, because there's a stigma, especially for guys, and especially, I don't know if there's a correlation between bigger guys who lift weights and and issues too, because we're always in the gym. Like I spoke to Michael Hearn about this too. We're always in the gym training, and that's our mental kind of release, like I was saying before. So, sometimes I'll go to the gym twice a day because I don't feel mentally good. I'll go in and I'll come back and I feel good. My endorphins are up. But I don't know. It's just like people don't know where to get help. So with Danny's, platform, it's great because he's like, hey man, look, I'm this diesel dude, I'm big, like this and that, but that's not what it's about. And that's why I respect him, because he's trying to help people. It's not just about, oh well, this is that and this is the way it is, because suck it up, buttercup,
Mm-hmm.
because people do have issues, man, and they need to be addressed, especially with the military. With the military podcast, we talk about a lot of people who have PTSD and all these other issues too. And it's no joke, man. And I know a lot of ex military veterans have found some, at least something in working out that'll help them cope. You know, I don't know
The
I know you trained beforehand, Danny, but I don't know
Yeah.
if that if
No,
that
no.
was
I,
a
I
thing.
there's a lot of the military community that uses the gym for those reasons. I know a lot of
Yeah.
veterans, the ones that I outreach to or I've talked to. I mean, it's really cool to get those messages. Those are the messages that mean the most. Is I get these paragraphs from these vets like, I've been following your journey for a while, and I saw you through like your worst of times and how you've overcome them, and it's helped me do this. Those are the messages that mean the most, right? And on the military side of things, a lot of guys they don't have much free time to do something, so they just go to the gym because it's on base. So it's a really good way to fight those issues that they have. I know it was for me, and that's another reason why you mentioned earlier. You want to put more stuff out there with your day to day life, right? And that's one big thing this last year I've been doing is showing the world the real shit. Meaning, okay, I may look like crazy with a pump and nuts and look gnarly, but I'll also go on my story and be like, hey, I just sharted on the couch and I'm having a really bad day. I'm having a horrible fucking day. Like I'm like, this is why this sucked. This sucked. Like I was late to this. Like my mom's like, just I'll give real life examples of struggle of whatever minuscule or big, but if I put that out there and it's being vulnerable, it's putting yourself out there personally a little bit so people know your information, but to enough to not to where you're disclosing everything, but to where people could see like, oh man, like he's not like in a Lambo driving around with like, like Insta girls or whatever the fuck people post, you know. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I'm here. I'm having a shit day. I do videos all the time. Like I did one a week ago where I was in the bathroom. Literally, I just took a big dump, or I was about to take a big. What I think it was before or after. Speaking of dumps, and I was like, look at my belly. I looked with my shirt, and it was just pushed out. I was like, this is what it looks like without a pump. Look at my belly button. It's pushed out.
Yeah.
I'm not shaved. There's hair. I was like, and I like did like a full 360, like to show like I don't have a pump. I don't have a pump. And then I transitioned to like when I'm at the gym, I'm like, whoa, like wow, like veins and pump. And I'm like, so we don't walk around looking like, oh, what's up, brother? How are you? We shake your hand um like because it's that's what people sometimes it's like, oh well, like they expect you to be. I'm like, I'm more like you than you think, and this is what you don't see. Or if I'm eating, like this is what you don't see. This is behind the scenes. Like I'm not pumped I'm not just all the time this just jack gym bro. I'm like, I'm a human being. I don't look the best every single day. I look at myself a lot of times, I don't like it. And I know a lot of people can relate to that. So you push that side out, which is your daily life stuff. That's where you can get people to resonate with you and actually see like, oh fuck, bro, that's where that's Danny. That's not Danny Sweat's Danny. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And I think people could definitely benefit from that. Whether it's changing your baby's diapers to, changing a light bulb in your car. Like that sounds so dumb, but it's like that's what you're actually doing. So it's like, why not share that with the world rather than your 405 bench that people see every fucking week? Because it's as impressive as that is, more people will connect to you changing a light bulb in your car than benching 405. You know what I'm saying? It sounds weird, but it's like
Absolutely.
my videos that I think are going to do the best, which are my craziest lifts and this, actually do worse than when I just talk about some plain dumb shit that
That's
is just
interesting.
either
Hmm.
funny or whatever that happened in my life. But that's what people want to see.
How much time a day do you spend creating content? And do you have ideas that you're jotting down, or is it just kind of on the fly? I feel like a lot of people have to maybe do a hybrid because you have to have content, right? To stay relevant in algorithms, you have to continuously post. So do you have a map? Do you have, is it scheduled? Is it a calendar? Is it?
So basically how I have it, my he's one of my best friends, but my manager, he's the one that's helped me map this out because I've never when I was in the military, I didn't have a schedule for my content. I just did it how I could. Now that
Mhm.
I'm out and I do this full time with, along with other things and business wise I'm doing, I try to stay on a schedule because I also have requirements I have to do for my sponsors, right? So, for example, like posting a shirt release or an energy drink, this or that. So I have certain quotas I have to hit, but I try to do that organically, so it's not just more like a sales pitch. I put stuff on my story, sure, but like I don't want to make it like, oh, you have to use my code. Like I'll do like a humor video with like one of my bum energies and like, you know. But I look at my calendar. I'm like, all right, Mondays and Thursdays I have to do a video of this, so I have that mapped out. But other than those like requirements, which aren't really that much, it's like
Mhm.
4 posts a month per company.
Hmm.
It's really nothing. It's more, most of my stuff is on the fly. Like it's just my on the spot humor. Like I know a lot of my friends, they have like ideas jotted down, and then when I think of stuff, I write in my notes. Don't get me wrong, especially right now with all the presidential stuff, it's been a great time to make content. Um, but but besides that, like it's just kind of on the fly, like, and I see a movement or whatever, I'm like, hey, this sounds funny. Or if I'm, a lot of the times what helps too is I'll be just scrolling and um I'll just recreate stuff, like, and I always like the big videos I do like viral, I message the owner or the person that created it, like, hey man, because I'm not one that's like steals ideas, like, hey man, I thought this was really funny, can I recreate it in my own way, because it will be something I would do, but they did it first. I'm like, fuck, I'm like, that's so funny. You know what I mean? But I'm
Yeah,
like,
Yeah.
but I
yeah.
don't want to be that guy that gets called out. I was like, oh, well, you stole. I was like, so I messaged them like, hey, is this cool if I do this? And they're like, yeah, dude, it's awesome. I always tag them. Um, but it's more like it's on the fly, and it's just genuinely like my dumbass, goofy personality. Half the time, it just coming up with the dumbest things. Some find it funny, some find don't. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. The one
Right.
thing I will say, I try to do every week. On my stories, I always do the mental health stuff. Talk about like, hey, if you're having a shit day, it's fine. Like that kind of stuff. Just give raw talk, and then I try to make a post on mental health somehow organically about something, whether it's um, I'm outside and I'm talking about an issue I have and relating it to someone. But there's certain pinnacles I try to hit each month for mental health, because that is what I try to talk about the most. So most of it's organic. I hate saying I'm an influencer. It's just like cringy to me. Like I
Yeah.
really do. I hate it because like as
I get it.
I'm very much so on like the old school, like, no, I like the gym. Like I'm just like a kid that goes to the gym, but with today's age, that's what I do is I put out videos, I get paid to go to these events. I'm an influencer, but I don't have this influencer schedule where I'm like, all right, I'm gonna be in the bathroom at 10 a.m. today and I'm gonna do like the shower. Like, no, if I think of it, cool, but I don't, it's not that regimented, because I try to focus on other things of living my life, because this again is a huge part. I want to be there for my friends, my family. Um, and like I said, I'm like all the business stuff that I'm trying to do on the side. So
So I,
What,
I want I
Go
want to go
John.
back to the mental health thing for a second. Um, I find at least through some of my clients that I've worked with and people they know, et cetera, guys get into ruts, and they're kind of like they kind of evolve slowly into their rut. And then when they're in their rut, they're stuck in it. It's like the rut would be like coming home from work, immediately sitting down at the couch, having a beer, eating something bad, watching TV, not doing anything. And then they're repeating that every single day. And then eventually their body adapts to being on the couch and drinking beer and eating crap. And they look like shit. They feel like shit. And then they start thinking like shit. And then you get a guy, then they start listening. I'll still listen to a guy like Andy Frisella or Rob Bailey's trying to do this now too. And their message is everything sucks. It's all bad. Everything's terrible. Everything's a fight. Everybody's against you. Nothing works. Nobody cares. It's this big ball of like negativity, and you're supposed to accept all this as part of just that's the way it is, and you got to overcome it. I just don't see that mindset lifting the guy up off the couch. So, what do you find are like the actual triggers that help people, especially dudes, get out of the rut and actually perform, at their best, and not necessarily measure success in terms of dollars, but measure success in terms of accomplishment or good feeling or who you're helping, like that.
I think the biggest thing is addressing like okay, like they're in that rut, right? They've come to get help, or they're asking, how do I get out of this? It's kind of addressing of like what made this happen, and kind of just like you have to learn them a little bit, because everyone's different with their lifestyles. Like, hey, like did something happen at work, or is it just like more like your what problems at marriage? Something is causing you to just be in this routine, and it could be laziness, it could be whatever. But I always tell people the hardest thing with change is getting uncomfortable to get comfortable.
Right.
And I say this because even for me, like when I speak about when I was in my rut in 2019, I went through divorce, and this isn't me going on about me, but my way of getting out was kind of just realizing like I'm in control of my body, my decisions, and it's only I'm going to make this change. And that was after a year of not lifting, depression, going through divorce, cocaine, but just a bunch of just negative shit that I was going through. And I was like, and you get to the point where I was doing the same stuff like people when they get in a rut, they do the same
Right.
routine,
Right.
and you almost start feeling bad for yourself, but you have to. That's when I was like, I'm the one that's controlling these emotions. I have to make this change. And when you talk to these people, and it's not, you have to say in a way where they're receptive to it. Like how bad do you want to change? Like, do you want to change? Like, first of all, like
Hmm.
you're in this rut. Do you want to change? And what if you did change? Where would you see yourself? Being in a better state. Like, how would you want to be? Would you rather be going to the gym? Would you rather be hanging out with your friends more? Like, what in your rut would you have differently to where you would feel better as a person? And it doesn't have to be the gym. I'm like, what is it that you want to be? So address the triggers. Like, okay, what has happened in your life to where you feel like this is how you've gotten, and where
Hmm.
do you want to be? And so address those two things, and like, all right, cool. So how can we get there? And it could start very, very minuscule, setting short-term goals for that individual. Be like, hey, let's just start off with doing this and see if you feel better. You may not, and it may be like, you feel like it didn't help at all. All right, let's try a new avenue. Let's try doing this instead. And when you're helping these people, like what may work for you might not work for them. So you have to be open to that. Like, shit, I thought this person is gonna be changed by the time I help them. So I think if you give them these steps of like, okay, I believe in you, and that's another big thing, is maybe they don't have someone in their corner that just is like, you got this.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, I know like having a partner is very important, and significant other supports you. Maybe they're not hearing it. Maybe they're at home, and I'm not saying that it's necessarily the case, but maybe they're not hearing, hey, you're doing a good job. Or maybe they're not being pushed to be better.
Hmm.
So you being that complete stranger is like, hey, I'm proud of you. You went to the gym today after not doing it. Like those little things, like it means to them more than you may think. Like just like words of encouragement, and then also like following up, like, hey, why don't you do this, and being on their ass. But you have to let them know, like, the only person that's going to make this change is you, and I'm here to help you do that. I'm not going to do it for you, but we're going to get you there. It's going to be hard, it's going to be uncomfortable, and sometimes it's that conversation that's like, oh man, I never thought of it that way, because again, no one else is making that person do that, be in that rut. They have instances that's affecting them, but they're choosing to do that. And that's where people are like, oh, you don't feel bad for them? I'm like, why would I feel bad? I'm there to help them get out of it. I'm not the reason that they're in that rut. I'm there to help them get out of it. So if I address why it happened, how we can help it, and what are the steps, that's the best that I can do. But it's up to that individual to get out of that rut. That's how I view it, because the people that I've personally hands-on helped with, it's it's very uncomfortable, because you have to ask them like, why are you like this? And it's not to be an asshole. It's like
Right.
something happened, something has
Hmm.
caused you to
Right.
be
Right.
like this.
Right.
And,
That's
and,
great
you, and you
advice.
may
Yeah.
not understand it, but it's something that they have to tell you. And then once they tell you, all right, let's work on it, let's fix it, let's reverse it, or let's make it better you know
Speaking of goals, you just brought up goals. You and I trained together at Wolf Fitness, right? And I was an IFBB judge for like 18 years, and I saw Danny, and I looked at him like, are you going to compete? Like, what is your fit goal? I mean, you go to the gym every day. You train. Is it to get bigger? Is it to just be in shape? Or do you have aspirations of actually getting on stage? Is that important to you? Because I know that sometimes people will look at you and say, okay, he's sponsored, he's, got energy drinks, he has this. If he does a 16-week prep and he shows us what he's going to do in the 16 weeks from a social media standpoint, that's going to blow up, from the
yeah.
nutrition to everything else that you're going to talk about. So do you have aspirations of getting on stage? And if you do, where do you want to compete at and
Yeah.
such?
that's like that's always the biggest thing in person. The people that might not know like my social media that come up to like, oh wow, you're like the biggest dude I've ever seen in person, like action figure. You're a pro, right? I'm like, no, I'm just Danny. Like and
Yeah.
that's how again I approach it because I tell people the first thing I tell people, I'm not a pro. I'm not a certified anything. I'm not a dietitian. I'm not this. I just love the gym. I've gotten good at it. Now, over the years in the military, that's held me back a lot from competing, especially the last like 5 years, um, just with timing, missions, deployments. And I don't ever make an excuse, but I did love my career and I put 110% into it. Um, Now being out and having this immense amount of free time during the weeks, I really thought about it, and it's one thing I've always wanted to do was display it on a stage in front of judges because as much as I Instagram and random people giving you a thumbs up, that's cool, but it really is based on a judge. That's how you are judged in the world's eyes of being a bodybuilder, NPC,
Hmm.
IFBB. Um, and I've always told the people also this: I've never done this to compete. It just happened. I just I just happened to look like this. It sounds weird, but I never did it for competing. Now I have the tools and everything now to compete, and I really do want to see myself on stage. So next year, that's actually what I'm trying to do. Is every person, all my close like five people I have in my life that I tell everything to. They're like, you have to do it, bro. Like, oh, we love you're there, you're right there. It's just getting myself to do it. And the biggest
Well,
thing I always noticed in prep when I was in prep was I hated how I would get around the 6 to 4 week point, just like towards other people, and I know it's part of it. But even just and being transparent, like my anxiety, depression, like that stuff that I take stuff for now, it would just be so heightened, and I would like it would destroy me mentally, and I hate that, right? But I've found better ways now to cope with some of those issues now that I have a lot more help than I did before. I feel like I can do it without having those issues. When I first started the gym, I wanted to look like certain individuals, people I watch YouTube videos of. And I've come to now the realization that I've outgrown those people. And I have to tell myself, like, oh shit, like, and these are people that like some of these names in the industry, and I'm like, if I did that, like, what am I waiting for? I'm very hard on myself. I'm very very hard on myself. I critique myself all the time. I've always been that way. Body dysmorphia, I just kind of happens as you become a bodybuilder, right? But I have to tell myself, I'm like, if thousands of people are telling me this all the time, like, you have to do it, maybe they're right, you know? Like, what am I, like, I have the
yeah.
I have the tools. It's just putting myself into prep, getting on a diet, and that's pretty much it, man. The training's easy.
Yeah. Well, look, I see thousands of people. I don't throw around compliments. You had a good physique. The worst thing that you could possibly do is listen to one of these gurus or bullshit like that. You've got
Yeah.
so far of where you are right
Yeah.
now.
There's
They
my
don't
cup
know
of
your
tea.
body like you do. So I don't give a fuck how many
Hmm.
champion bodybuilders they have. That's going to be the worst thing they can do. You know how you feel, how to train, how you look, what makes your body tick. If you want advice, and you're going to take that advice and put it together with your own plan, I tell you 1000%, listen to yourself. Don't get fucking caught up with these bullshit guru guys because they're just going to fuck you up. You got this far. You have a really good physique. You get chiseled. You have a great physique. You'll be right up there. And that a lot of, I hate to use those word influencers or people who haven't, they can't do what you're gonna do. But
Yeah,
just stay true to yourself and just really stick to what you've done and what you know. And just keep the people that have been around you this whole time with you. Because there are gonna be a new guy coming in, yeah, I'm a guru, I train this person, and come on, and you're gonna be sucked
yeah,
into about 175 pounds, and you're gonna look like shit, and then you're gonna be like, I did the best I can. I was just there for fun. I was just there, like you know what I mean? Just go in, win, and just do what you know what to do. That's the best advice I could give because
the
none of us listen back in the day listen to gurus or bullshit head.
We even
the
have
Just,
them.
you know what I'm saying? Just,
the hardest thing is I would say, like, not from my personal thing. I've never had people pull me in different directions too much, but the people I know that are at the Olympia level and even at the pro level and amateur, it's having a coach, right? but then having all this outside influence because they have connections, they'll have, all like you said, gurus reaching out like, oh, why aren't you doing this? Like, if you just add a little bit of this in there and you pull back
Yeah.
this and like it's and that's like I can only imagine how hard that is when you have like all these different coaches at that high level like, hey, like I know your coach is doing this, but like that would screw. That's why like when I'm in prep, like I really I'm on social media, but like I don't scroll. Like that's one thing I do. I will always tell people, my friends in prep, I was like, what if you want to feel better, just like post your shit, exit the app, because you will start comparing yourself. You'll start going on your competition's coaches pages and their protocols, and then you're like, oh, he's doing this, why am I not doing that? My coach doesn't give me like 400 or 300 carbs or two, like whatever the fuck it is. And that's where people go wrong, is because they start taking advice when someone's seen you and knows what you're like, but you think, oh well, let me just try to make it better because this person, well, that person doesn't know
Yeah.
you. Just
Right.
Nope.
because
Take
they've
the
had
yeah.
Olympian athletes doesn't mean they know everything.
Look, take the advice from bodybuilders, sure, and just put together your own plan. But like Dorian Yates back in the days doing 1,000 grams of carbs, and then the other guy's sitting at the Bev's, counter, and he's boiling his chicken, and he's not brushing his teeth because of the fluoride's going to give him too much sodium in it. You know what I mean? Like there's two opposite sides. You know what's right for you, but yeah, you take everybody's advice, you put it together, what you know, and then you come up with your own plan, and then obviously tweak it along the way instead of going full steam ahead with somebody who doesn't know your body, how you train, or what you do. Just gives you a cookie cutter program, then you're just gonna a license to fail, as you know. Are you doing anything with Wolf right now? Wolf Fitness?
Yeah, right now I'm on in the real estate portion of it just because one of the business things kind of fell through just because of location. But I'm looking at real estate right now, for location. So that's when I said business earlier.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Uh-oh.
we lost it.
Oh
That's one of the
man,
big.
right before the plug.
Uh, what'd
So
you
no,
say?
you said you kind of I think you
Oh,
got
the
an alert
plug.
or something or a message. And I said right before the plug.
Oh, Wolf Fitness.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
circled out for a sec.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I didn't hear what you were saying. Sorry, because you just
Yeah, about
jumped out.
Wolf.
So
He's in the real
No, no,
estate
no.
portion of Wolf Fitness, I
Yeah,
think you said.
I'm just looking at the real estate portion right now. And just being patient with it because I've never done this before. I've never like getting it again. I from 17 years old to 29. Oh shit! Yeah, I'm sure 29. Damn, I'm getting old. All right, to 29 or 28 and a half, whatever it was.
sock
Um,
older than you.
I all I knew was the military. I never did business ventures. I never did any of that stuff, real estate, and like lawyer shit. Like I never like understood how that worked. And this whole process of dealing with landlords and loans and like pre-approval and this and that. It's just like it's a lot. It's interesting, but it's always what I've wanted to do, and the main reason is because as I always talk about, as much as the gym has given me, I want to give that to someone else, but also in a big space, where people could come and be like, I love going to his gym, and know my members on a first name basis, and see them coming in looking like shit, like fuck you feel like you're having a horrible day, but you come in my gym and you have the best day. That's the reason I wanted to do the whole Wolf thing, because I've gone there, I've trained there, I've seen the members, and I love that environment. And so I was like, I want to create my version of that. So and it's always been a dream to have a gym. I think any gym bro would say, "Oh, it'd be cool to have a gym one day." But actually doing it, that's where it's like, how many people actually do that? So it's not the easiest thing. A lot of failed businesses, a lot of failed gyms I've seen in the past. But I don't have that mindset of failing, so I know once I get it done, it'll be like the fucking awesomest place. Um,
Yeah. Tony
yeah.
Saxby, good guy. Wolf Fitness.
Yes. Yeah.
So I want to ask you about the military for a minute, because I'm curious. When I went to boot camp, I treated it like I was going to a contest. I like prepped for boot camp, okay? And that was the biggest mistake I could ever have made, because when I got there, the DIs just completely focused on me and tried to break me. They fucked with me way worse than anybody else, and I just took it, because it was like a good workout. But when I got out of boot camp and I went to A school, all of a sudden I became like, everybody wanted to talk to me. They're like, how do I, because it's 1978, nobody worked out. So I became like this, person of interest that people wanted to talk to learn about how to do this. What's it like now in the military? I mean, is it do they like appreciate what you do, or is it still looked down on? I mean, I was like such a second class citizen because I had big arms. I mean, it was terrible. It's like, isn't this what you
So
want? You know?
I can't speak on like right now at boot camp. I just know from my old students like what they would experience is my personal experience was, again, I joined out of high school, so it was like 170 pounds wet, was supposed to go to college for lacrosse. I didn't have muscle on me. But when I went through, it was, most of it was more of I think the whole goal of it is to break you down and build you up. And I think they did a really good job with the people that really needed that, like the people that came from troubled backgrounds. They didn't have maybe family structure. I think a lot of what they did purpose wise was really beneficial, and it was more mentally challenging than physically. Like
Absolutely.
we ran, we did push-ups, like that shit I did in high school. Like that was physically, it was never demanding or challenging, and it's the Air Force, and it always was like that my whole career. I never physically had any type of challenges. Now mentally, I knew that going into it, so I didn't really have any struggles. I knew that they're purposely fucking with me to break me down, but
Right.
I'm like, listen, they're doing this because they want
Right.
to bring me down to then build me up. Now, since I went into to now, from again talk, this is just from word of mouth from my students that are way younger than me. It's gotten a lot, and I hate to say softer, but with everything in the world, how it's gone with emotional support and
Oh
feelings,
God.
it's just gotten more sensitive, and the way I describe this is from when I went through. Um, Say they're correcting something on your uniform, right? They're like, hey, like you have a string loose, they'd have to ask you permission to touch before they touched you.
What?
Yeah, that's when I went through. So that was
Oh
a thing. Like it
my
was like
God.
they cannot touch you. There was no cursing. So like instead of saying goddamn, they'd be like daggone, or they would use like these weird Texas like slur things to replace like curse words, like because it was they couldn't curse. The weather, like if it was too hot outside, in their MTI, the drill sergeant hats inside of it, they had a weather chart. So if it was a certain degree, they can only do a certain amount of physical, like push-ups or stuff like that. So, but
Wow.
that was when I went through that. That was already established. So then, fast forward till now, obviously it's got a little bit more sensitive
Soft.
in ways. Like I know one big thing they had, which this is the one that blew my mind, which I was like, that's ridiculous. But if you feel like you're being attacked or under emotional distress, you could pull out this
Yellow
card thing.
card. Yeah, I heard
Yeah,
about that. And they
yeah,
can't. They have to stop. They
yeah.
can't.
They have
They
to
can't.
stop. Yeah.
Oh my God. But what
Jeez.
about
Wow.
now? I mean, like, not boot camp, but when you're actually in, doing your job. You're in the military. You're certified. You went to school. You did all of that shit. Is it is being a big dude like still? Is it looked down on, or is it looked as like, this is what we need? We need soldiers. We need guys that
So
are big and strong and tough. It just doesn't seem
I'll,
like they're being made tough anymore.
listen. I will say like the so on the I know guys that some of my friends that are special forces. Some of them are big now because they've been in, but most of them, the most endurance based and like physically fit dudes I know weren't really jacked. They were just like crazy swimmers and like stuff I
Fiery.
could never do, which I have all respect for. I couldn't even do any of that shit. Now the bigger dudes, the only reason people would know that I was big was because my social media presence, right? I say this because my uniforms, besides my tighter flight suit, unless I talked about the gym, you wouldn't know I go to the gym. Meaning, like, yes, I'm a big looking block dude, I guess, because I have a camo on, but they don't like care about any of that stuff. Like, they never did. Like, they would see me doing my stuff outside and be like, oh wow, you're Jack. Like, how do you fit in a plane and doing this? I'm like, yeah, and it's more like humor jokes, but they never cared for the muscle aspect because muscle will slow you down in war, muscle this and I all those jokes, right? I know to a certain extent there are right there. Like for me, I couldn't do some of the stuff those special forces guys do. I couldn't go out there and carry people around all like certain stuff because my body's not built for that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But as far as like the being a bigger dude, like it never really, no one really cared. It was just more like jokes all the time, like, oh, like you're a big dude, how do you fit in the plane? And at the end of the day, in the Air Force, 99, like a big, very big portion of the Air Force is the chair force. And that's not to knock my service. I love doing what I did, but most of the Air Force side of things, you're behind a desk, you're
Right.
typing away, you're at the gate. Hey, welcome to Joint Base McGuire. Scan your ID. Have a good day. Like, it's not like this. Oh, American Sniper, like that's that's that kind of shit is like the 1 percentile of when they're doing that cool kind of stuff, and those guys are in like the best endurance shape. But being a bigger, like, again, it the best way to describe it, how the military's become, it's they focus more on how you act and what you say versus what you look. Meaning, there's so many overweight people that they call it
Really?
profiled, basically.
Yeah.
Like, oh, like I bummed my knee, and they just keep going to the doctor and documenting, and they can't run. So they continuously just don't have to do the PT test, which is a joke as it is, but still.
Exactly.
Mm.
So I mean, that's always been there, but most of the focus is on the emotional side. For example, like, and I'm not saying there should be hazing at work. I'm not saying there should be inappropriate stuff, but just like any area in the gym with your bros, like the best type of camaraderie is fucking around with your bros, and that's how it was, right? That's how you build a community, and it's not to
Right.
put anyone down or disrespect anyone at all. It's just how it was. That shit doesn't exist anymore. You cannot do that. You cannot, God forbid, you say something that's borderline like anti-feminine or something, like you're gonna get so fucked. Like that's the biggest thing, is like you can't say anything that's borderline anything on the sexual side, obviously uh a sexually discriminative side. You, God forbid, you have a poster of a female, like you can, there, none of that exists. It won't
Wow.
and if it happens, that is treated like at the same level as like physical abuse. You know what I mean? It's like
Wow.
emotional abuse. You know what I mean? The emotional side of things is the biggest thing I noticed, especially the last like 5 years. You just have to be really careful with what you say, how you talk. Like I was teaching students all the time. Granted, some of them were my best bros, so I was able to fuck with them. We had that relationship, right? But
Right.
if it was a stranger like that I've never taught, or a student, I'd have to be very weary of, all right, what I say, is this going to come across as discriminative or I don't know, offensive, and it's not because um I would purposely try to ever make someone feel bad, but it's just like, hey, this is, if how I look at it is, and I still like look at it to this day, if I'm fucking with you, it means I like you. Like if
Right.
I'm making jokes like with you, like it means I like you. That's my way. But today's age, it's like one word you say will get taken out of context and used against you, like, oh well, Sergeant Jacob said this, and I don't know, I feel like damaged. It's like, all right, okay.
You're right. So right.
God. Yeah, man. It used to be about being tough. Now it's not. It's just that's really sad, man.
I
Rambo never
I,
took a yellow card out.
Nope.
over well, I didn't have the yellow card. No, I didn't have that. But overall, like
I never heard
I'm
of
not,
this.
I will stick up for a lot of my friends that do really really cool stuff in the military, that like some shit I can't even talk about technically, but some of the stuff they do, those guys, those motherfuckers that are on the ground overseas, they do some tough shit. Those guys are tough. And that's like, again, that percentile versus someone at a finance office, like, oh, yep, your military pay's fucked. Can't do anything about it. Sorry. Oh, we're closed actually early hours today. Like, that's the majority.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
But you know what? Like I was in Manhattan the other day, and one cop had to be at least 150 pounds overweight.
Oh,
Now I'm thinking, like, if that's my partner and that's the guy who's watching my back, and we're in
Mm.
pursuit on foot of somebody, like, how many blocks behind is this guy gonna be if I'm gonna, make an arrest? And you know what I mean? Like, there's got to be a point where
Every
it
every
just everything's lax now with the physical requirements and stuff, because they need people. Like back in
well,
the day,
yeah.
if you took this fire test, it was like people were throwing up and getting sick,
Right.
and like now it's like run a mile in 14 minutes. Like
No, that's perfect example. Like that's how, no, but that's how it is. Like the our PT test, now it's changed, because now you could do like shuffle run and some planks or some weird shit. But it was originally, it was sit-ups, a run, and push-ups. Very, very fucking simple, right? And I mean,
Mhm.
I've had my airmen that I've had to help get ready for these tests that were already failed twice that couldn't do 17, 20 push-ups in a minute, and that's like that's rough. Like how can you not do that? I'm not saying like everyone has to be jacked, but like it's 17 push-ups, right? Like that's and
Yeah.
it's not and you're in the military, right? So I get it. You're not in the gym. You're not a gym bro, whatever. But you're in the United States military, or if you're in law enforcement, you should be able to do that. That's not like you're not asking you to do 60. And even the mile, like our failure time for the mile was it was 16 minutes.
What?
No, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. A mile and a half was uh uh I think or
No,
yeah,
it
I
was
think it was like
14.
16. Yeah, it was like 14 or it was between 14 and 16. I just know that because after certain but it's
Yeah.
ridiculous, man.
That's
It's a quick walk.
and these are the guys and women who are supposed to protect the country, like get out there and mix it up with the enemy. It's like I don't. I was talking to, I forgot who, but they said that the enrollment now in the military is so low
Yeah.
that they've had to lower the standards to the point where you know fat people are getting in, people with tattoos in the wrong places are getting in. All of the rules that they used to have are being completely laxed now because they just don't have anybody joining.
Now, we
Yeah,
addressed this on the military podcast. It was like 10%. Everyone's pulling from the same 10% of America right now for all the military, the law enforcement, everything else. And a lot of it has to do with medical issues and mental issues too. So
And being
they
out of
they
state.
they
10%.
they have had to lower. Like I just even since I was in till when I got out, the standards over time, not and just in general, like they lax and certain things. It was like physical requirements, obviously. There was also like bonuses, for example. People now like they were trying to get bonuses out to people to join, which is a great
Wow.
thing. But the only reason they were doing that was because there was the retention, you know.
Yep.
And it's the same thing with cops. My buddy, I was with 2 days ago. He's trying to become a Trenton cop here, and he was telling me he's like, yeah, I'm excited. I don't have to worry about the run or whatever it was. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, oh, it's like, and it was some outrageous number. I
Yeah.
can't tell you what it was. I'm like, are you fucking
Jeez.
kidding me? I was like, that's insane. Like, bro, I could speed walk that. Like, and I'm not like I'm 242 lean. I was like, I could
Yeah.
speed walk that. Like,
Could crawl that.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that's
That's
where I ask
crazy.
myself. I know it's to respect people's weight and to be themselves. I get it. Cool. I get it. But I like you're choosing to do this job, right? So if you're choosing to be a cop, you're choosing to be military or whatever it is, there is a standard for that role. And on a physical side, yeah, you see all the time cops, and you saw in New York, we have the military, same thing. Some look at some of our pilots, bro. You should see some of the pilots I've flown with, man. They're like Santa Claus on the jet, man. It's crazy.
Well, they used to do the
That,
height and
yeah.
weight thing when I was in, and it's like they flagged me because I was too heavy for my height, and I'm like, what do you want me to
Oh,
do?
they got
You know?
yeah, they got rid of that too. Well, to join, they have a weight requirement still, I think. But when you're in, what we had also was a waist measurement that they got rid of that. But they brought it
Wow.
back just to make sure that people were still being healthy, which is a weird fucking complex. But they got rid of the waist for a while because it's like, oh, people have blocky waist.
Jeez.
Okay, but the reason wasn't because people have blocky waist, is because people were failing because they were like overweight. Like they
Fat.
made it seem like, oh, we have block. There are certain people, sure, but the majority of the people that were failing the waist was not because they were born blocky. Like it's like, oh, I'm big
Yeah.
bone. It's the same fucking excuse. Like, oh, I'm big bone. Like, okay,
Back in the day, we were all a couple of me and my buddies went to the police academy in New York City. So we're going in, and one of my buddies is 6'5", big dude. He automatically went to the mayor's task force. He was like, yeah, like we got a place for you. There was another guy, but I remember taking the physical, and they were hysterical. They should have this would have been the best TikTok video. The cops were like, hey, Tony Baloney over there, lay off the pasta. Tony Titties over there. Like, like he's sure he can run, like, like they were relentless. It was funny, but they would
Wow.
call people out and make him, You could never do that today.
That's
Like,
No.
you know
No,
what I
No
mean?
way.
that's exactly what I mean.
Never.
Is you're not
So bad.
when you're saying that it's not with ill intent. It's not like
Nah,
it's really not. But it's how it's our generations or the generation
different.
before us. Oh, I'm sorry. After our generation now that's coming up, it's the way they interpret those words and how they're emotionally damaged. Versus us, if someone told me something like, "Hey, like Fef," or they said something
Yeah,
borderline
it's
offensive,
not the
but I
same.
would take it as a joke. You know, I would
Yeah.
Yeah,
laugh. Now versus like, "Oh my God, you didn't address me by my correct pronoun, and you're taking fun of my weight." You know,
no.
oh, it's
But
it's
but they were
wow.
equal offenders back then too. Like you said, it wasn't. It was just a different generation. They'd be like, "Oh, we weigh you. Get back on the scale. We didn't weigh all your chins." Like, like you know what I'm saying? It was just like you laughed. Everyone laughed. No one was crying in a corner, and it was just the way it was.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
look, we've gone
Exactly.
on for an hour
Oh
plus,
yeah, wow. Okay.
hour
Sorry
15.
about
This is
that.
awesome. No, no, no. What do you mean sorry? This has been great, dude. I didn't
That went by really quick.
I know. Listen, there's there's a ton more to talk about. Can you come back and hang out again sometime, man?
Anytime
Course.
you guys need, man,
Dude.
just let me know. Give me like a day's notice. I'd love to like just
Cool.
Absolutely. That'd
anything,
be
random
great.
shit, like or just like if we're talking about taking dumps again. I don't care. Whatever you guys want to talk about.
Oh,
That's what we
we're
usually that's our best work. We usually get the
yeah,
most views out of
exactly. Yeah.
of
Well,
our bathroom humor.
Yeah,
so
we love
our
when
But
the show goes to shit.
yes, yes,
Yep.
it does. Commonly, with technical
we
glitches
are on
and
all the.
also discussions topics. So perfect. So Danny,
I think we're up
how
to
can people
what
get
30,000 live right now.
Yeah,
30,000 live, right? Yeah.
nice,
What?
dude. Yeah, we're growing.
Yeah.
But how can people get in touch with you, man? So are you Danny Swool 2 on TikTok? Did you or
Yeah, it's
okay,
Danny Swoll 2 on TikTok just because my original one that was like verified blue check that shit got hacked. So it's just Danny Swoll 2. My
okay,
PO box is just getting out of the PO box. I don't know the fuck how to do one of those. I have Instagram, Danny Swoll, DANNYSWOLE. TikTok, YouTube, Danny Swoll, same thing. And if you guys have biggest thing for anyone out there watching, if you have questions on anything I said, or if you don't like something I said, I'd love to talk about it. Or if you felt offended and need an emotional support pillow, I'll be that for you. Just message me on any platform. Like I said, I'm open to conversation. Or if you feel like there's stuff that you guys want to hear us talk about, whether military or not, please message me. And I don't care if you follow me or not. It's not the reason I'm saying this. It's just so I can get some engagement with you guys that actually have genuine questions, because we come in here and we talk about discussions that people want to hear. So that's
Yeah.
the whole reason. So
Mm. And everybody takes a dump. Remember that. Everybody takes a
yes,
dump.
that's true.
Whether they want to or not.
Well, look, we had a ton of activity, a lot of people, a lot of compliments to say about you, and yeah, check him out, give him a follow, and
Yeah.
and raise awareness here and engage with him. He's trying to do something good, and get off the couch and go work out. Everybody, come on.
yes.
Exactly.
Cool. All right, everybody, we
All
will
right,
see you
appreciate it.
Thursday.
Thanks, Danny.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks, dude.
All right,
Thanks
Thanks,
again.
Danny.
Peace.